Today's news: in Korea, there is no mental health. Barriers to treatment.
In the days following the very tragic death of Jonghyun from the K-pop group SHINee, a lot of us are still hurting, including me, and I can see in the comments that so many people still are affected by this. The article we're covering today is linked down below if you want to check it out. It's an excellent read on the state of mental health in Korea currently, and it sort of doesn't give a lot of good news, at least if we're focusing on trying to use mental health as the way forward. I want to start with a statement from the article, which gives some perspective. In Korea, there is no such thing as mental health. One is seen as weak if they have a mental health issue. People with mental health issues are seen as crazy, and the issue is something that must be overcome. Given that depression is perceived as a sign of personal weakness, according to Jonghyun, it is not seen as a clinical issue in Korea. It is rather seen as a burden on a family's reputation.
There's so many ways that we could boil this down, and essentially it kind of comes down to the feeling of saving face and the role of family and trying to achieve a perfect family in Korea.
And the focus on the group rather than on the individual. In terms of the way you are greedy, you're greedy towards the betterment of the group, not for your individual self, and therefore people don't ever really take how they feel into as much consideration as how they feel that the group is gonna feel. It's really complicated if you didn't grow up in it.
It's all about the group and whatever that group is and that group mentality, whether it be the institution that you work for, whether it be your actual family, or your larger overall group of friends.
The older I get, the more I can just see the balance in the world, and one of the things that Korea was great personally for me for was this group thinking. It taught me so much to go over there and to step back from what I personally wanted in order to, for instance, the group that I was a part of was the department that I worked in at Kyunghee University. Like, I need to take them into consideration when I would, for instance, answer students' questions instead of what I personally wanted in my own classroom. These sorts of things are learned only when you go over there. If you're from a Western country, it's hard for us to really understand unless you're of Asian ethnicity, you grew up with Asian parents.
I disagree with that. I think that there are plenty of groups out there that have this overall group mentality, and I don't want to say it's Asian, I don't want to say it's Western, but I do want to say it's very prevalent in Korea, and it's often kind of one of the big hiccups and problems in mental health and building that way.
I just personally think in North America, for instance, even more than in Europe, we are so individually greedy.
So think about it like this. If you have some sort of mental problems and it is health, people get mental health issues, you immediately start thinking about how can I save face and how can I hide this from the people around me because I want to create the perfect image, not only at my job, but also with my family.
And it doesn't matter how you feel inside, you have to do what she just said first. So you don't take your mental health into consideration at all in that situation. That situation is a common one.
And you don't necessarily go and seek out mental health because you don't want the F code on your insurance records. The F code is you've actually gotten some assistance for insurance purposes for mental health. So you maybe go and seek it out in person and pay cash if you do go and seek it out. Or what a lot of people are doing are turning to other sources, whether it be their church pastors, whether it be fortune tellers, shamans, or room salons. Believe it or not, actually end up making more money for mental health than actual psychiatrists and counseling centers.
The main reason why this is happening, what you're talking about, this alternative going to different people or finding help in different areas, is because Koreans are extremely skeptical that their medical records are private. They do not trust the government. Referring to the people's distrust of the government, another statement from the article, as noted by Michael Breen in his insightful book, The New Koreans, which I've read, by the way. Many South Koreans are afraid to see a mental health professional because they worry that their medical records will not remain private. People do not trust in the government's promise of confidentiality. Breen discusses how a chief of police recently admitted that police recruiters regularly check the medical records of applicants, which means if they check and then this person went to therapy, that person might not be employable. This would be a huge stain on the family's appearance to the greater public, and therefore people, for instance, would not seek therapy because of this fear.
Because of their job fear. And actually, this is something that I encountered as well, because even when I was going to apply for positions myself when I was living over in Korea, they said, do you have any history of mental illness? You had to write down in your application whether you have any history, and they could go and check your medical records.
For me, the thing is, Koreans are correct in distrusting the government because Korea is such a technologically savvy place that everything is spread everywhere digitally, so there's absolutely no way that they would probably remain private anyway simply because of this fact.
Well, that's a whole nother video in itself. But going back to mental health, there are a lot of people, young people, older people, especially because they don't have social security the same way some other countries do. There's a lot of issues for older people, and also younger people are under a lot of stress. Statistics show about over 30 people die every day because of suicide in South Korea. March is the biggest month for suicides. They've shown statistically that more people commit suicide in March.
You guys, quick announcement. This was the painting from the very last live stream in memorial of Jonghyun. It's the shiny light stick.
It's the shiny light stick. I was inspired by that and all of you guys' support and loss and love. And I just want to say a big thank you to everybody who tuned in. I know it was last minute, but we raised over $200 for charity. It's going to Korea in honor and memory of Jonghyun. So thank you guys. We really appreciate it, and much love to you as we try to help and show other people some love in Korea.
The thing is, you guys, I personally have a lot more I'd like to say, and I'm sort of reserving it. It's so difficult for me to think about what happened to Jonghyun and the possibility that if things had been done a little bit differently near the end of his life, that he might still be here with us.
This is frustrating for me because there's so many things that I wanted to talk about. For example, alcoholism and how people are turning to alcohol, and it's such a big part of society because they drink rather than actually taking care of their problems and the root of their issues, and they don't actually want to pay to see somebody and talk. They just want to medicate, and that doesn't actually get to the problem for a lot of people. The heart of the issue needs to be talked through, and a lot of times things can be talked through instead of medicated, though I do know that a lot of people need medication also. And I'm going on a rant and I'm talking really fast because I feel really passionate about this, and it's just so frustrating and so heartbreaking.
Therapy can help every single person. It's amazing how much therapy can be effective. Comments your feels, comments how Jonghyun's death has affected you. I'm at a complete loss for words. Click the like button. Thank you for supporting us. And don't forget to subscribe for more HallyuBack news. That's it. We're out of here. Hasta luego.
Bye.